Hi, welcome to Inspired to Game. I'm Sean. Today I want to talk to you about Merchant's Cove. If you're like us, you have everything from the original campaign of Merchant's Cove, and you've enjoyed discovering the different powers of the merchants and uncovering the secret of the secret stash. So, when Merchant's Cove Mastercraft came out, it was an easy campaign to decide to pledge. And it was also an easy campaign to decide to add on the big box so that you can store everything in one place and not have to pull out 4 boxes every time you wanted to play. Well, now you're faced with the challenge. How do you take all of this with elements from this and put all of that into this? So let's get packing. Now, the organizational trays that are in the big box are fantastic and they're well designed, and even comes with this lovely guide on where to put everything. But this guide does present a couple of challenges. The first is over here, where it describes where to put all the main game elements. Not a lot of detail in here, so if you don't know the game very well, you might have a tough time figuring that out. The second challenge is within the trays themselves. There are 2 different sizes of trays, and it's sometimes difficult to discern which merchant goes into which size tray. So let's start there. Now, when you first open your big box, you'll notice that the top half is actually an inner box that holds all the organizational trays for the different merchants. Now, within those trays, you'll find that you'll have 4 of these long, thin trays. You'll have 7 larger trays that have 2 main chambers that are the same size, but you will also have 1 unique large tray that has 1 main chamber that is larger than the other and only 2 small chambers up at the top. And finally, you will have a small tray that has just 1 main chamber and 2 small chambers up at the top. So let's start with that unique large tray and find out which merchant goes into there. The components that will be placed in the Oracle Merchant tray are the Oracle figure, the Oracle staff board, the 3D cardboard sail shelf, a dry erase pen, the divining dish, the 20 Oracle goods in stands, and the 5 runes the Oracle uses for divination. So let's start by putting the divination tray into that large chamber that's specifically designed to hold it, and within there you can take all of the large goods and place them in the different sides of the divination tray. The runes can be gathered and put into the larger of the 2 small chambers at the top, and the divination figure can go into the smaller one. The table can be placed upside down into the smaller main chamber, and all of the small goods can be gathered around it. The pen can also go in there. And finally, the staff board can go at the covering of the top, and you can cover the whole thing, and you have now packed away the Oracle. Now let's take a look at the Alchemist. The components that go into the Alchemist tray are the Alchemist figure, the Alchemist staff board, the alchemy bag with 26 plastic marbles, 4 plastic ichor extracts, the sail shelf, the decanter, and the 20 alchemist goods in stands. Now each of these trays seems to follow the same design. The figure of the merchant will go into the center chamber, and the 2 smaller chambers can be used for things. In this case, the ichor extracts can go up there, and some of the smaller goods can go into the other one. It doesn't hold a lot. Remember, the staff board does need to go over top. So now into the main chamber, I will put the decanter in one side and the display table in the other. Now my large goods can go in to fill in these spaces here, along with the rest of the small goods. Then I will take the marbles, fill in the gap there, put the staff tray at the top, and I can fold the bag over, fill in that little gap there, and of course then the lid. And we have now packed away the Alchemist. Now let's take a look at the Blacksmith. The components that will be going into the Blacksmith tray are the Blacksmith figure and the Blacksmith staff board, 12 dice, the sail shelf, the 20 Blacksmith goods in plastic stands, and in our case, as many plastic stands as we could find. So for starters, let's put the sail shelf right here, and we can fill it up with the dice. The Blacksmith figure goes into the center like that. We can put small goods into the small chambers at the top, whichever fit on each side. The large goods, of course, can fill in the rest of the chamber there, and the staff board goes on top. Nice and simple. we have packed away the blacksmith. Now let's take a look at the captain. The components that go into the captain's tray are the captain figure, the captain staff board, the cardboard compass spinner, the 3D sales table, 4 plastic ships, 7 cardboard coins, and the captain's sales goods. So let's start by putting the captain in its place, along with the captain's ships and the 7 cursed coins. The sales table can present a bit of a challenge. You can try and put it here, straddling that center partition. I find that I was able to nestle it in here with a little bit of work. It does feel a little tight, but it does work nicely. Now all the sales good chests, they could go up here, they can go down here, they fit wherever you want, and the smaller goods also fit there. The spinner, of course, you want to store upside down anywhere you want. Oh, of course, you'll want to put the staff board on first, then the spinner, and of course the tray snugs it all together, and we have packed away the captain. Now let's take a look at the Dragon Rancher. The components for the Dragon Rancher tray are the Dragon Rancher figure and staff board, the cardboard sales pen, 4 cardboard trees, 4 cardboard poop tokens, a cloth feeding bag with 28 food discs inside it, and of course the Dragon Rancher's goods. So again, let's start with the figure there. The small goods can go into the small trays, small chambers top, bottom, and the large figures, of course, can fit anywhere in the main chambers. I like to take all of the wooden food tokens and put them into the bag for efficiency of setup on the other side. And now that bag can fit anywhere in here. And actually, I would put all of the goods over there. Of course, the trees and the poop tokens can go wherever you want. Now you will notice that the center partition has a little bit of a dip here on each of the trays, and in this case, that's where the rear fence of the pen is going to want to sit. And you'll have to make room for the side fence of the tray as you slip that in. Now the staff board can go on top, and of course the lid, so that we have packed away the Dragon Rancher. Now let's take a look at one of the new merchants, the Mushroom Farmer. The Mushroom Farmer's components are comprised of the staff board, 4 insect tokens instead of a figure, 4 mushroom house tokens, 5 action tiles, the Mushroom Farmer's goods in stands, 24 soil tiles, 28 spore tokens, and of course the sales shelf. So let's put that away. Just like before, the figure or whatever is in place of it will go there, along with the house tokens. I will take half of these small goods here and the other half of the small goods over here. The sales shelf can go right there, and we can surround that with large goods or whatever else will fit. Now the soil tokens, I will take those and put them in the bottom there and cover them up with large goods, action tiles. And to try and separate out the spore tokens, maybe I will put those over here with the sales shelf as well. And finally, the staff board on top and the lid. And now the Mushroom Farmer has been packed away. Now we'll look at the detective. The detective's components are comprised of the detective figure and staff board, 4 informant tokens, the detective's sales goods, and finally 36 clue cards. Notice the detective does not have a sales table, so he'll be easy to pack as we put the figure there. I'm going to put the alibi tokens here and the clue cards in here. Now I can put the sales goods any old place they'll fit. I can put some up there. Plenty of space for the detective, and of course cap it off with the staff board and a lid. And finally, the last large tray will be used to hold the Faction Festival components from Mastercraft. These include the Festival Start tile, the Paladin Faction Hall token, 5 Art Time Staff tiles, Paladin meeples, Assistant meeples, Display Case tokens, Enchantment tokens, Advertisement tokens, 5th Staff Action tokens, the Paladin cards and the Beast of the Bay cards, Honor tokens, as well as the Paladin's goods. Now the easiest way to put these together, we start with the cards, which can go into one of the main chambers. The advertisement tokens, if you can put them nicely in one of the small chambers, stacked up like that, they will take up much less space. And you can follow that with the 5th staff actions. The enchantment tokens can go into the center here. And the Paladin goods can go in the chamber there. The honor tokens go up here. That'll have to go on top of things. I will put the display stands in here. I'll put the staff, part-time staff there. I kept the meeples, I kept the Paladin and Assistant meeples in bags to make it easier. And of course the last trays can go there. Put the lid on, and the Faction Festival is now packed away. Now let's work with some of the smaller trays, starting with the Innkeeper. The Innkeeper's components are the Innkeeper figure and staff board, the Innkeeper sales table, 4 cardboard beds, 12 small goods, and 4 customer meeples. So let's start by putting the figure in the center, and we'll put the beds into the smaller chambers up here. We can put the customer meeples in with them. The small goods can go anywhere in here, and the tray is going to stretch over that center partition, fits it nicely. And finally the staff board, followed by a lid, and the Innkeeper is now snug in his bed. Let's look at the Chronomancer. The Chronomancer has the Chronomancer and Assistant figures, the staff board, 4 frozen hour tokens, the sales shelf, portal fragment tiles, and of course the Chronomancer's sales goods. So let's put the figures in the center there. The tokens can go here along with some of the small goods in each of the smaller areas. I'm going to put all the large goods here. The portal tokens I will pack away there with the rest of the small goods. Now the tricky part is going to be getting the table in there. That will be easy. And finally the staff board. Whoops. Put the staff board in first, and then the display table, followed by the lid. Let's look at another one of the new merchants, the Pastry Chef. The Pastry Chef's components are Pastry Chef figure and staff board, 1 mixing token, 4 frosting tokens, 6 batter cubes, 7 order cards, the Pastry Chef's goods in their stands, and 3 oven tokens. So let's put that away. Figure can go up there. Oh, the cubes can all go in there. Let's put the oven tokens and the icing tokens together. Now the goods can all fit here. I'll put the cards in first, followed by the rest of the goods, and as always, the staff board, and finally the lid. And finally, the last small tray will be taken up with the Treasure Diver. The components are Treasure Diver figure and staff board, 4 staff tokens, a diving lantern token, diving tokens, which will eventually go into the cloth bag, 4 idle tokens, a sales table, 3 backpack boards, and of course the sales goods. So let's put the figure along with his staff and whatnot, the diving token there. Small goods can fit into the small partitions up here. Remember, the staff board has to go on top. I will put the sales table in here. We have room for the large goods. Now the tokens go there. You could put them into the bag, but you're going to have to rebuild the bag whenever you start playing with the treasure diver, so you might as well leave them out. And of course, the backpack staff board goes up top. We will roll or fold the bag so it can fit right in the gap of that center partition. And last, the lid. Okay, let's start looking at the bottom of the big box. Now, at the very bottom of the big box is a tray like this. I've taken it out of the box so that we can see better what's going in. There is a lot of spaces here before we get into the larger stuff. So down here at the bottom, I am going to put the Lair of Villainy, the Dragon Island Festival tile, and the tiles that make up the Halls of Plenty, wherever they will fit. You'll notice on the guide they suggest putting some of the player tokens here, but I would prefer to put them a little bit higher so you don't have to dig all the way down to the bottom of the box to get them. I will put some of the original modules down here, such as the boat setup cards, the solo cards for the peddler for solo play, and now we have all these slots over here for the mini cards, which are going to be your main corruption cards and townsfolk cards, of which we have a lot. Lots of slots to put your cards however you want to, and as well as the new merchants and those cards whatever they are, because to be honest I haven't played with them yet. Finally, in this big space here, we are going to take every single one of our merchant boards from every single one of our merchants, including here the Bardwood Grove extra player board from Spirits of the Grove, and that will make up our bottom tray. When the big box arrived, it did have these 4 corner supports for the upper box. I'm going to leave those in place. I'm actually thinking of attaching them to the side, but right now I am going to take the tray we just put together and try and slot it in so you can see it in the box. And of course I'm going to run into a little bit of a problem. Alright, so now everything is in there, nice and snug, and we can start working on the next tray up. So let's take a look at the upper tray. As you can see, I've left everything in it just to show you where everything goes. Of course, the boats will fit over here on the right, the largest boats in these 2 spaces, the smallest boat in the center, and the remaining boats in any configuration that will work for you. This center channel is where I put all of the different time tokens for the players, and this part is where all the merchant banners go. Now the 2 card bays here, this is for all the different merchant cards, so you can randomly select a merchant, and all the rogue cards will go in here. As you can see, we haven't unpacked them all yet, and there's the Dragon Festival or Dragon Island Festival card at the bottom there. Now, any other remaining tokens we have for the rogues here, more player pieces, time pieces, the mice, everything will go there so that you can get it quicker. Now that section on the left will be covered by the Faction Festival board. Fits in there nicely, and the main board fits in. It is a little snug. It will only fit in one way, so you will want to play around with it, flip it over, see which way works for you. And finally, we have all the adventurer meeples in a bag, which will fit here on the boats. And last, we found a cloth bag in our own collection to put the Rock Rose gems in so that they can fit there, nicer than a plastic bag, and that will also fit onto the boats quite nicely. Now, of course, that tray will also fit here, nice and snug, just like that. Okay, so here we have the upper merchant box. I'm going to take the large merchant trays. I'm going to divide the 8 of them into 2 stacks of 4, and we'll put 4 in there, and the other 4 right here. Now, the 4 smaller trays I'm going to put in the side, where there is space for them. They do nest in each other very nicely. And finally, the last token tray, I will slip down the side like so. Now we'll take the merchant box and we will put it right on top, like so. And of course, you don't want to forget all the documentation, all the manuals for the game itself, on top of all the manuals for the individual merchants, and the scenario books, the thief, the secret stash, all of that can go there. And finally, the lid. And there we have it. Everything in one big box. Now, because of the looseness of the individual merchant trays, I would suggest you store your big box horizontally. Otherwise, you will get a little bit of component creep. The sleeve that they provided makes it look fantastic in a horizontal orientation on your calyx. And the sleeve also gives you something to use to pull it out because it is quite snug in there. Well, if you've watched this far, thank you very much for sticking around. I hope you found this enjoyable and informative. And as always, happy gaming, folks. You ever have one of those moments where you put the game away on the shelf and then turn around and see all the components that you've missed? They're on the table, they're on the floor, maybe they're still in somebody's hand. So